Have you ever wondered what it would sound like if a monstrous entity was slowly dragged out from the depths of hell itself? Today, we're going to find out exactly that. Because in this chilling tale, an otherworldly monster emerges from the tracks below a forgotten industrial city in Eastern Europe. But before we dive into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more terrifying tales. And now let's get started. The wind howled like a banshee through the skeletal remains of New Prague's steel mills, whistling a mournful tune between the rusted girders and dilapidated buildings. Overhead, the skeletal frame of a massive crane swayed precariously, creaking under the weight of its own decay. Rust, the color of dried blood, stained the metal, a sickly shade of orange, and the whole structure groaned under the onslaught of the relentless elements. This once bustling industrial hub had ground to a halt decades ago, swallowed by the encroaching forest and the Iron Maw. That's right, deep beneath the overgrown tracks of New Prague's abandoned rail system, something stirs. Something ancient, sinister, and hungry. Known only as the Iron Maw, this creature of nightmares has become a local legend in the forgotten corners of Eastern Europe. A horrifying cryptid made of twisted metal, rusted chains, and fragments of discarded machinery, all held together by some unholy force. It is said that the Iron Maw lures its victims to their doom, with a symphony of metallic moans and clanks. A haunting lullaby that echoes through the tunnels beneath the city. Some say it's the sound of the creature dragging itself closer to the surface, drawn by the vibrations of life above. Others claim it's the anguished cries of those unfortunate souls who have stumbled into its lair and met their demise at its merciless jaws. But what exactly is this monstrosity lurking in the darkness? Legends speak of a creature so grotesque, it defies human comprehension. Its head, if it can be called that, resembles a broken and rusted train engine, spewing thick black smoke from its funnel-like mouth. From its mangled metal hide protrude sharp, jagged spikes and gears, each one a potential instrument of torture. And then there is its maw, a gaping abyss that opens like a furnace door, revealing a churning inferno of molten metal and fire. They say that when the Iron Maw devours its prey, it melts them in their entirety, turning their bones to slag and their flesh to ash, leaving nothing but a hollowed husk and a pile of slag. One day, a group of urban explorers known as the Misfits dared to venture into the abandoned steel mill. They were a motley crew of thrill-seekers and adrenaline junkies, united by their love of the macabre and their morbid curiosity. There was Victor, the de facto leader of the group, a wiry man with a shock of white hair and eyes that glittered with excitement. Then there was Zofia, a petite woman with a quick wit and an even quicker tongue. Next was Dmitri, a burly giant of a man whose strength was only matched by his childlike wonder. And finally, there was Anya, a young and eager explorer with a thirst for knowledge and a healthy dose of skepticism. The Misfits had heard the rumors about the Iron Maw, of course, and they knew the local legends spoke of anyone who ventured too close to the tracks being taken by the creature. But they dismissed these stories as superstitious nonsense, the product of overactive imaginations and a lack of rational thought. How could there possibly be a monster living in the sewers of an abandoned steel mill? As they made their way through the skeletal remains of the factory, the four explorers exchanged nervous glances. The air hung heavy with the stench of decay, and the oppressive silence was shattered only by the sound of their own footsteps echoing around them. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble, and a low guttural growl echoed through the tunnels. Whatever had stirred in the darkness beneath them was now moving closer. Victor, his face pale but determined, raised his flashlight and pressed on, leading the others deeper into the bowels of the abandoned factory. The growl grew louder, transforming into a cacophony of snarls and screeches that sent shivers down their spines. Sparks flew from the darkness ahead, illuminating a pair of glowing eyes that stared back at them, malevolently. With trembling hands, Victor and the Misfits turned and fled, racing through the labyrinthine tunnels, the creature's snarls echoing behind them. They ran blindly, desperately seeking an escape from the nightmare that pursued them. But no matter how fast they went, the sounds of pursuit grew steadily louder. Then, through the gloom ahead, they saw it. A faint glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. Hope surged through their veins as they surged forward, desperate to reach the surface and escape the horrors that awaited them below. As the creature closed in, its hot, fetid breath on their necks, the Misfits poured out of the tunnel and stumbled into the overgrown wasteland above. Gasping for breath, they looked back to see the opening of the tunnel collapse in on itself, sealing off their only escape. They were trapped. Dmitri, his face ashen, sank to his knees, muttering a prayer to a god he barely believed in. But before he could utter another word, the earth beneath them trembled again, and the collapsed tunnel gaped open once more. From its depths emerged a torrent of fire and molten slag, coalescing into a grotesque humanoid form. The Iron Maw had come to claim its prey. Its head, a nightmarish fusion of twisted metal and rusted gears, loomed over them, dripping with viscous black goo. Smoke billowed from its funnel-shaped mouth, obscuring its features and adding an eerie haze to the stagnant air. From its mangled shoulders protruded arms like broken piston rods, ending in hands of jagged metal hooks. With each step it took, more gears ground against each other, emitting a cacophony of clanks and screeches. Fear lent speed to the misfits' movements as they fled deeper into the wasteland. But as they ran, the ground beneath them cracked and buckled, consumed by the molten slag that poured from the Iron Maw's jaws. Trapped between the creature and the fire, they had nowhere left to go. Anya, her voice trembling, turned to Victor, desperation etched on her face. She knew that whatever was about to happen, she didn't want to face it alone. Victor, his bravado gone, could only shake his head in response. He had never believed in the legends. Not until now. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the wasteland, the Iron Maw lunged. Its arms flailing wildly, it swept one of its hooks towards the fleeing explorers, catching Dimitri around the waist and hoisting him up like a rag doll. With a sickening crunch, the hook tore into his flesh, yanking him off his feet and sending him crashing to the ground. Dimitri screamed in agony as the other explorers watched helplessly, unable to help their friend. The Iron Maw advanced on them, its steps heavy and deliberate, each one bringing it closer to its immobilized prey. Its head lowered, and from its gaping maw, it unleashed a torrent of molten slag, engulfing Dimitri in a fiery embrace. He cried out again, but his screams were cut short as the slag burned away his flesh, leaving nothing but a charred and smoking skeleton. The creature then turned its baleful gaze upon the remaining misfits, and they knew their fate was sealed. One by one, the Iron Maw picked them off, melting their flesh and grinding their bones to dust beneath its hooks. All the while, its glowing eyes blazed with a cruel and merciless light, and its maniacal growls echoed across the wasteland, a testament to its brutal efficiency. By the time the sun set over the horizon, the wasteland was silent once more, save for the mournful cry of a lone wolf in the distance. The Iron Maw had claimed yet another victim, and the cycle of death and destruction would continue until the creature was finally laid to rest. So, are you ready for the final showdown? What will happen next? Let us know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to stay tuned for more terrifying tales.